Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I am here with a wonderful comedian from New Hampshire, Bill Douglas. Bill, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I really appreciate you having me, Scott. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I heard from some people that you're like the nicest comedian up there.
Yes.
Then,
Yeah.
look, I have two confirmations of that. Two confirmations, but let's move on. You're in New Hampshire. Now, I know the answer to some of these questions, but people that never met you, were you born and raised in New Hampshire?
No, that's why I talk normal. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I love it.
Despite what New Englanders think, I like the Great Lakes way better than an ocean.
Okay.
That's heresy out here. And it took me about 10, I've been here almost my whole adult life.
Okay.
And it took me about 10 years before I noticed a Wisconsin accent when I went back home in the summers.
Okay.
Uh, and now people have a hard time placing where I'm from based on how I talk.
Yeah, you
Uh,
definitely talk different than the normal Boston
the
comic that
vowel,
I
yeah, different from Boston, but also different from the Midwest. Every now and then, my vowels will give me away, like Milwaukee, Milwaukee,
people say that about me. They say you talk funny. I'm like, I've been. You asked where I'm in York, Pennsylvania.
York, Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah, where the men are men and the sheep are scared. That's true. I won't go into details. Let's just say as a kid, somebody at the York Fair got in trouble for a sheep.
I used to collect matchbooks, and I remember I had a matchbook from a moving company in York, Pennsylvania. Who knows why I
Yeah,
remember? I
could
forget
be,
my
could be.
passwords, but I can remember stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. When did you start doing comedy?
I've been doing it about a little over 6 years.
Okay. And the follow-up question is, was there a catalyst 6 years ago that said, Bill, go do comedy?
I think there was. Every summer for years, I went to San Francisco for a science an institute for teachers at the Exploratorium,
Right.
and I had a childhood friend from Seattle. He came down for a weekend every time I was there, and we'd walk all around the city and just do cool things.
Yeah.
And one time, he wanted to go to see a show at Cobb's Comedy Club, Kevin Nealon.
Kevin Nealon. Love Kevin.
Yeah, I'd never seen him before. I'm like
Right.
totally out of touch of anything after 1978 in popular
It's
culture,
okay.
but I was amazed as we're sitting there. It's like he's not going to come up with a instrument, or he's just going to come up and talk, and all these people are here. I thought it was fascinating. He was really good.
Yeah, Kevin
And
Nealon's
then
great.
the next day, walking 3 miles to the museum, I thought if I had to do comedy, like what would I talk about? And I had a friend who was a health teacher, and I imagined doing some of the stories he told me over the years. And I was so lost in thought about performing comedy like Kevin Nealon had done. I walked right by the museum, like, where am I? And so then a few months later, I was on a vacation with friends, and there was an open mic uh, in in Minnesota and
Right.
Grand Marais, and I did my first stand-up comedy set,
Okay. That's
telling my friends' health stories.
yeah, well, and I don't want to jump ahead because I got it, I my crack staff puts together a whole list of stuff. Crack staff is me. But you mentioned being a teacher, and you were a science teacher for 35 years. Is that right?
I officially retired in June after 37 years, but I'm still going
Okay.
to be doing some things in the
Okay.
district. So until I write a bunch of retirement jokes, I am still a middle school science teacher.
Well, and you mentioned that you were thinking about material from your health teacher buddy. Do you get material or do you have pulling material from when you were teaching?
Oh God, yeah. Now that's one
Yeah.
thing I'm thinking. Wait a second, I'm not getting new student story. Although some of the teachers are sharing it, but that was a pretty good wealth of information for all
Yeah.
those years.
I had a guy on, and I'll just do it for you because I think it was so funny. Bob Grunfest, he's a teacher as well. I think he also just retired, or maybe he's still teaching, but he said a student come up and said, "Look at my keyboard. The F key is broken." And he said, "Uck."
That the kid said that, or the teacher said
No,
that.
he did. And he
That's
said he
funny.
was glad that the student, I said, "Did she get it?" He said, "No, it went right over her head."
That's funny.
And he said that he was praying that because I said, how old was she? 17-year-old girl. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't talk about that. You're part of the Ye Old Mike on Facebook.
Yes, I
Do you
am.
want to tell? Because I was shocked today that what, and I don't want to give it away. You guys have been doing it a long time.
Yeah, I during COVID, which I'd only been doing comedy less than 2 years when COVID happened, you couldn't go out. And I did the Plano Comedy Festival virtually
I saw
in
that.
Plano, Texas. And the host for my little segment was a man in the Dallas area named Al Cacilia.
Okay.
Uh, and then he soon after that started Yieldy Mike. It's a Zoom it's a comedy show, but they've got spoken word, they've got musicians.
Okay. All right.
And a couple of weeks ago was the 200th consecutive
That's what I was
episode.
impressed.
Al Casilli is an amazing host. He's an amazing guy. And then he does travel for comedy. There's another gentleman from Maine, Jareth
Right.
Johnson. He will invariably fill in when Al is gone. And so 200, and I
200
think last
episodes.
night was my 138th, but it's a real community of people who care about each other. And
Yeah.
it's really, really
It's
cool.
really cool. It's really cool, and that's why I wanted to mention it because, I apologize, but I didn't know about it till today when I saw 200 episodes. That's really cool.
It's really cool. Yieldy Mike is basically comedians 60 and over. And almost everybody is 60 or over. I didn't turn 60 till August, so I was like
Okay.
grandfathered in or
All right. Yeah.
grandsoned in, I guess.
Right.
But now
Right. Right.
I'm legit now.
Okay. Comedians that inspired you when you were younger, and now comedians that you like now.
Um, in my family growing up, we didn't really, for the longest time, I don't. I'd watch Red Skelton with my dad. If you,
Yeah.
Carol Burnett, Tim Conway, but
Yeah.
later in life and still today, I would say my two, well, Bob Newhart, but then my two favorite
Yeah.
comedians, I have to say, would be Stephen Wright and Mitch Hedberg, even though
Okay.
I'm not very similar to either. I just love those.
Yeah.
They
You
make
just
it
like
look so
them.
easy.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
They make comedy look so
Yeah. Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's, it's just like, oh, anybody can do that. No, they can't.
I saw Steven and met him in Vegas. It just phenomenal,
He
phenomenal.
came to Concord for a while. Every June, he would come here to Concord, New Hampshire at the Capitol Center. And I saw him like 4 years in a row. And you'd be tired leaving because he'd go so long and you'd
Yeah,
be really having to concentrate to get him. So you'd leave, guy. Ooh, that was a workout. Yeah, you really worked out your brain.
I took my son, and my son just couldn't get over how quick and how witty he was. Just amazing,
Absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
You're coming up. You're part of the third annual Vermont Comedy Festival.
Yeah, I did last year. And the first year they had it, I wasn't part of it because it was like December and I'm teaching but I went up the first year they have like a 1 minute joke contest. So I went
Okay,
up for that even though I wasn't in the festival. I was in it last year, um, which was really, really good.
right.
And then I'm in it again this year, so it's been really cool.
Is there a lot of comedians? Pretty big event.
They have I don't know my brain with I can't think who the headliner was last year. It was a really well-known comedian who like normal I didn't hardly even know
Yeah,
because I'm just so unaware. I love comedy, but I don't.
yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah, so I don't know a lot of people everybody else in the world knows. And the funny thing is, I was at the in Bridgewater, Mass, the Woolen Mill where I go fairly regularly. So I knew the place, and so I'm in the little green room, and I knew I was next, and so I sit down next to some guy, and I was waiting for and so the host who I know, he goes, "Well, I'm really excited for the next guy. He is maybe my favorite comedian there is." I'm like, "Whoa, I didn't know he liked me that much." He's absolutely amazing. In fact, he is headlining the entire Vermont Comedy Festival. I think I am not. And then he announces the headliner who I was sitting right now, and I started to get up, and then the headliner was like, "Oh, I didn't know he bumped me." So,
I saw a video called "The Golden Toilet."
oh, that was yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I got a pool where I can pool.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Golden Toilet, there's some really creative hosts. Marlia and Michael, good friends of mine, and
Okay,
they,
mention their names.
uh, yeah, Marlia Rose,
Okay.
Michael Millette, and I
All
think they
right.
have other kind of hosts. I've done it twice, and they both times they've been in Massachusetts. I'm not quite sure where they are now.
I just
And
saw the
they,
golden toilet on the stage and was perplexed.
yeah, and they kind of tie into that. Yeah, I haven't thought of that in quite a while, but some good people down there.
Okay. Well, and that's one of the things that I kind of jumped over, that you've performed all over the place.
Yeah, 2023 I was in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the biggest comedy festival in the world. That was really cool to be part of. Um,
Where is this Edinburgh?
Edinburgh Fringe comedy festival. It's the biggest comedy festival in the world in Edinburgh, Scotland.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought you were making reference to.
But there were, 5,000 of us, and so it's like it's 2 weeks. I was there for a 1 week
Wow.
run, and so at any given time, there's 400 shows going on.
Okay.
So you really had to pass out flyers, which I hate doing. But if you didn't do that, no, why would it? They get this
Yeah,
book,
right.
like a. So I'd be up there. Excuse me, are you interested in the free? Hello, and but the third or fourth day I was flyering, they call it, sending my little flyer trying to get people to come. All of a sudden I hear, Mr. Douglas, and it was a student of mine from New Hampshire with his father. I could not believe it.
Wow. Wow.
Um, and they didn't know I did comedy. It's like, oh my god, they were there for their daughter doing something in the city.
Okay.
But yeah, so that. But I heard the average attendance for a show was six that first week, and
Uh,
that would include big name people that have 200. So a lot of times, people would go to all the work to get there, and they would have nobody show up for their show. So we usually had 15 to 20, which isn't amazing, but it was
yeah.
still fun.
Okay. And other places here in the United States, I mean, you've been in.
Yeah, I'm trying to do comedy in all 50 states.
Yeah,
Summer
that's what I thought. I thought.
Yeah, so this summer, one thing I love doing is I love reading. I love the public libraries, and so I love doing free like hour shows at public libraries for free, just to kind of
Okay.
go in and I usually they tend not to be comedy audiences. They're people who love library audiences. They tend to be women, older, and educated,
Okay.
the audiences. And so I'll do like 20, 25 minutes of straight comedy, but then I'll do like some science, like magic tricks, which go really well. So I kind of break it
Oh,
up.
okay. Cool.
So I got Missouri, Arkansas, and Michigan were shows, states 27, 28, 29.
Okay.
And next month I'm in the New South Comedy Festival in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
And on the way, I'll be staying, joining a good friend of mine, Sandy Bernstein, who's a comedian in Maryland. I'll be doing Maryland, a couple of mics with her. I'm doing another library show in South Boston, Virginia. So that'll be states 20,
Okay.
30, 31, and 32.
Okay.
But
That's
now it's
pretty
getting
cool.
harder and harder because I've got pretty much everything from New Hampshire to Wisconsin. So I got to really go far from the beat
Yeah.
to get to a new state.
I used to pride myself for, now I don't know if I'll make it, but I used to think I could get to all 50 states.
Excellent.
I've been in about 30, like you, 30 or 35 states in the United States. And I guess the reason that I wanted to talk about it was because does it vary? And I think I know the answer. It does vary from place to place.
It does to some degree, although so many of my jokes are wife, son, and teaching, and those don't vary from place to
Okay,
place.
all right.
But I do a lot of travel jokes, and one joke that worked really well in the
Well, hey,
Midwest.
you know what? You can do a few jokes. I have no problem with that.
All right, well, one joke, I talk about the state slogans fascinate
Yeah,
me.
I saw that.
Like New Hampshire's live free or die. I think Wisconsin should be eat cheese or die, but they don't have a sense of humor at
Right,
the
right,
DMV.
right,
And New Hampshire, I mean, Nebraska's used to be Nebraska. It's not for everyone. You believe that?
right.
I mean, but they obviously got rid of whoever it wasn't for because now it's Nebraska, the good life. This is totally
Yeah.
true. Well, yeah, wants to get rid of all the people that don't belong there. You know, the good
Right.
life, if they never heard of the ocean out there.
Right.
But I
And
have a
you
joke.
you even went into West Virginia too. I like to almost heaven, West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, if West Virginia is almost heaven, what state's almost hell?
I've
And I
I've
was
been
going to say West
I've
Virginia.
been to West Virginia, man. Oh man, oof.
Yeah, I think they look at their state with rose-colored glasses, don't you think? Or about New Jersey's, they call themselves the Garden State.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Why not something like New Jersey, only hours to somewhere else? Or New Jersey, we smell better than we used to. Or New Jersey, hey, at least we're not West Virginia.
Yeah, right, right.
But the one that
Yeah.
worked great in the Midwest was I was driving across Nebraska and I saw a sign that said scenic view
Right.
straight ahead, 800 miles. And in Michigan and Arkansas and Missouri, great joke. I did it in New Hampshire and everybody just, okay, I guess they don't realize 800 miles would put them either in the Rockies or anyway.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
So I just
You
made a note. Okay, not in New England. Don't do that one.
Yeah, that's why I was touching on because now you said a lot of your stuff is, dad, son, teacher, but for people that um like for instance, I talked to some people that play like a college crowd
Okay.
and they have to like tough up their material a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the tough thing for me was in Edinburgh. It's not just you've got people from the UK, you got people from all over the world, and you wouldn't know from show to show. But I've got a joke about a backup camera,
Go
and
ahead.
they don't know what a backup camera is in the UK.
Okay.
They don't know what it means to back up a car. They reverse a car,
Right.
so it's a reversing camera. They don't know what parking lots are. They're car parks. So it's all these
Yeah.
things. That's like, oh
Yeah.
man, okay. So I was having to try to tell my jokes with the different words, and sometimes it worked fine if you just switched it, but sometimes you just kind of lost the joke if you had to change it.
I talked to someone, well, I've done a couple now with people that are in China.
Hmm.
And I asked them, well, what's it like? Do they understand you? And the one girl said, no, a lot of times they don't. I said, well, that's a good, you can just say, well, I bombed because they didn't understand me. And she's like, well, they're there just for a free English lesson. They just want to learn
Oh, yeah,
English.
yeah, yeah. I did a lot of Zoom. I did a regular Zoom comedy show called Stand Up Tokyo, and the hosts were not Japanese, but they were in Tokyo.
Right.
And you had people from all over, literally all over the world. So that was kind of a neat thing of getting which jokes worked, which didn't. But I remember I was on a big Zoom show out of Indonesia, and it's crazy what people from other countries think about Americans. Like he introduced me, and now up Bill Douglas, all the way from America, land of Stephen King and Barry Manilow. And I'm thinking, did he have that planned, or did he? That's what he thought of. And I'm thinking, so the joke was, oh my God, it's so funny what they think of it. I mean, it's like, Barry Man, how do they go together? I mean, one gives you nightmares, and the other is Stephen King.
That's a great joke.
But I don't know if he was trying to be funny, or if he Googled, or if he just thought,
Yeah.
so we think, oh, Africa's filled with wild animals. So they think that Barry Manilow and Stephen King are like the two icons, according to Indonesians.
Believe it or not, I sold Barry Manilow records.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked in the music business and we had a different name for him. I don't know if I should I do it? I don't want to do
Yeah.
it. Barely man enough.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, saying that you sold Barry Manilow records is not really evidence that you were in the music business.
Hang on, hang on. I better keep it down. I was going to give you the middle finger. You can go to my Facebook page, pal. And there's
Okay.
pictures with Kiss and Cheap Trick and ZZ Top and Ringo Starr. I was
So
in
cool
music.
thing, Cheap Trick. Um, you know,
Madison,
you
Madison,
know Otis.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, you know Otis Redding, right?
Yeah. Sitting on the dock of the bay.
He died in Madison.
Right.
His plane crashed in Lake Monona.
Okay.
Cheap Trick was supposed to be opening for him that night, but that wasn't their name then. You know what
Right.
the name was before Cheap Trick? The
Uh,
Grim Reapers.
yeah, the Grim Reapers. Yes.
And that's why they changed it.
Yeah, I'm friends with Rick and Tom and Bunny. Well, Bunny's got kicked out of the band. Bunny's
Oh,
out.
oh,
Yeah, Bunny's out, but I'm still Robin and Rick and Tom, and Tom just commented on it. I put a picture up with Tommy the other day, and he commented.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I've been friends with those guys. One of the wildest times, and again, this is your comedy minute, so I don't want to talk, but I was on the road with them with the Stone Temple Pilots, and there's a great story there. If you want to check it out, go to my page, and you'll pretty crazy. Do you like
Awesome.
Cheap Trick?
I do like cheap. My music tastes have changed
Oh
drastically.
yeah,
When I
yeah.
was in high school, I like much more mellow stuff like Billy Joel and Elton John. I still
Okay.
like them,
Barry
but I didn't like
Manilow.
Led
Barry
Zeppelin.
Manilow.
No, not that, not that. No, music, Scott, music.
You had Barry Manilow records. Don't lie. Don't lie.
Yeah, the first album I bought was the The Stranger, Billy Joel, The Stranger.
Oh my. Oh my. No
Um,
comment. Let's move on.
and I like Sticks and
Oh
Camp.
yeah, there you go. I saw Sticks a few times. Worked with them. Favorite show, not one you watched, one you performed. Favorite show, and then the follow-up question: least favorite show.
The least favorite show is going
No,
to be
no.
the
Do favorite
comedy.
first. Do favorite.
A favorite show
You can do a couple. I like you.
I
I like you.
performed. Um, One of my favorite shows was just super recent. There's an amazing comedian in Michigan named Andy Beningo, and
Yeah, I've seen you some stuff that you posted with him.
yeah, and he's been I opened for him here in New Hampshire a few years ago, and we kind of stayed in touch. He's been really helpful trying to get me shows in other states, including the
Okay.
Michigan state I did. So we did a show at the Roxy Theater in Rochester, Michigan, this summer. Oh man, and I was hosting and I didn't have a good place to put my tripod and I didn't really know exactly when I was going to start. So I have an audio of it, but I don't have a video of it. It's like, dang it, there's about 200 people that were in a really good mood. That was, I mean, it was just it's fun when
Your
they're
favorite
enjoying
show.
thing that much.
Okay.
That
And
was
and now
uh,
I told you up front I'm an idiot, so least favorite show.
um well least favorite in that and that's it's the same.
Hey, you know what I'm looking for, don't you?
Yeah.
A
It's
train
thing
wreck.
is my comedy minute is going to
No,
be
no,
that
no, don't do
too.
that yet. Don't do that yet. Don't give it up.
Well, then I'd have to do another. Then I'd have to think of another bad show.
Okay, well then don't we'll move on. We can move on. You can't think of anything uh maybe one where another comedian, or did something or
Well, I just did a show on Saturday,
right.
and I do better with older people, older audience.
Yeah, yeah.
It was an older audience. They were 50 people. They seemed to be in a good mood. I did pretty much all proven stuff, and they just didn't love me. And it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
So that was you just kind of walk away going, oh, maybe I'm not that fun. Or it could be that, but the
Oh,
headliner killed. So it wasn't you can't say, oh, that was a bad audience because the headliner killed.
yeah.
I did weaker than the other comedians, so it wasn't the audience for whatever reason. We just didn't jibe well, but it's just
Yeah,
kind of
well,
off.
I think it varies, and it's funny you'd say that because there's times, uh, my ego was such when I started this that people are going to love me. People have told me I'm funny my whole life. They're just going to, and 4.5 years later, there are times I think you're just not funny, Scott. You're just not funny.
Well, I don't know if it happens to you. I always fall in love with my new jokes, and I write a bazillion. I
Oh
never sit
yeah,
down to write, and I text
right.
my friends waiting for them to say that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. They're like, eh. Um, but what was I just gonna say about? I lost my thought
It's
about.
okay. I'll just touch on that because I've had been blessed where on Instagram and something, joke went to 300,000 or whatever. But you're right because I do quickies. I go out and I film them with my phone. You're a comedy minute quickie and I just do a one liner or whatever. But so many of them that I'm just in love with, I think that thing's gonna do. It's
I
gonna
know.
kill. It's gonna kill. Meanwhile, and I'll give you this one because I just did it the other day. And when I wrote it down, I thought this, nah. But wait to hear. What do you call a rabbit that has fleas? Bugs
Uh,
Bunny.
Bugs Bunny. That's good. That's good. I was trying to get
Bugs Bunny
somehow.
went to 18,000 views on Instagram, and I'm sitting there going, "Are you?" I almost said, shit. Are you kidding me? I just couldn't believe it. Or I'll give you one more that it's like, what's the difference between a cat and a dog?
Uh,
One of them's a dog. And part of it's the delivery. Now there I
yeah,
rushed it, but
yeah, yeah.
it's just it amazes me where I love something, and I just think to myself that's gonna kill, and then cricket.
Well, another super memorable time early on before COVID, I was at Comedy on State, which is my understanding the biggest open mic in the Midwest,
Okay.
Madison, Wisconsin, Comedy on State. And their open mic, it's really cool. If you want to go see it, it costs $3, which is so little that nobody who wants to go is going to say, "Well, I'm not going to pay $3." But that
Yeah.
also means nobody who doesn't want to really be listening to comedy is going to go in. They're going to go to another bar where you don't have to pay anything and you can just talk.
Right.
So I got on Comedy on State, and as a new one, I only got 3 minutes. And so almost the first thing I said was, "I've been teaching middle school science for 35, whatever it was then."
Right.
I got such an ovation because Madison is very pro education. I'm thinking, you are really eating into because my clock's running. It was 20 seconds of applause for thank you. I'm thinking, all right, I want to tell some jokes. I want to quick. But then like the next week I was way up in Maine. I said, "I've been teaching middle school science for 35 years." Did any of you guys ever go to school? You know what I'm talking about with school? Yeah, it's like nothing. I'm like, uh-oh. Because I always start with education jokes. I'm like, all right, this is going to bode well.
Do you want to do a couple more? You can do a
Uh,
couple more.
well, you talked about your friend. That was a super funny joke about the missing the F key.
Yeah.
But you kind of know what to expect with kids, but sometimes they give away family secrets without meaning to. Like
Right.
normally when I ask what's inside a cell, I get genes and chromosomes. But one
Yeah.
time a boy goes, bunk beds, metal toilet, my stepdad Bruce.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Well, A for effort. Actually, A for the whole year because I don't want that parent conference.
That's
That some of
great.
them, some sixth graders are so innocent. Like health ed. Amy, what's the most common way to get an STD? From having uncertified sex.
Uncertified sex.
That's right, Amy. All right, class. Make sure you notarize those tramp stamps. But other kids aren't so innocent. Michael, same question. What's the way to get an STD? Well, my mom said she got hers from my dad. And that's when I started having 2 different Christmases. you just
Oh
you just
wow.
don't know, just like, and those are
Yeah.
all true. That come right out of their mouths.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hold on.
You keep going. We got a few more minutes. I'll tell you what. Let's because we're going to get to your comedy minute too. We're running out of time. But I wanted to mention this because he's responsible, at least partially responsible. You were on episode 2 of the Real or No Reels podcast with my buddy Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Sean
He
Ruiz, and Tommy Wires.
Yeah, and another member, regular Jay Gillespie, although he wasn't there that
Okay.
night or somebody figured out. Yeah, Sean and Tommy, a lot of good things going. They super supportive to everybody else in comedy and are really good comedians. Sean also, we've done shows together with Andy Beningo, who I mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
You keep calling him Sean, but it's for the people. It's Mr. Rue. I think is
Mr.
how he goes
Rue,
out. Yeah.
Mr. Rue and Tommy Wires, they and Jay, they run a open mic on the Seacoast on
Okay.
Mondays. It's about an hour I don't go that often just because it's 2 hours
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
back and forth, but they do a really good job of
Okay.
running that. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to pay respect to Sean because Sean's been very kind to me. He came on the show and he was terrible. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Uh, no, and he's the one that said to me, I was having some equipment problems and stuff, and I wanted to test it out. I was trying to get people on, and Sean, he's got my phone number, and there's a whole story there. And so he texted me and started, and he said, This one, this one, this one," and you and I. Oh, we didn't talk about your colonoscopy. I'm sorry. Well, I can cut that if you want.
Yeah,
have
I
a
had
couple.
mine last week.
I no, that's why we were supposed to do it, but you had a colonoscopy.
Yeah, and
Hey, did he give you a thumbs up?
I'm not sure. I was a little out of it. It was actually a she, and I remember I had her last time, Dr. Giza. She's pretty hot, but it's pretty hard to be cool in that position. Hey, doc.
The reason I brought it up because there's a couple of jokes there. Like I went to get my colonoscopy, and I said to the doc, "Where should I put my pants?" He said, "Put them over there with mine."
Yeah, that's
Right?
great.
Yeah, there's a ton of colonoscopy jokes. I'm sorry, I'll cut that if you want me to.
Oh, that's fine. That's totally
No,
fine.
I just I would, but I wanted to mention Sean and Mr. Rue because again, he's really proactive and he's brought a lot of comedians to me, even though he was terrible. Uh,
We're trying to drag him along best we can.
I'm doing what I can to help him out. But no, listen, Bill, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I hope you had a wonderful time.
I had a wonderful time. I
Please
had fun.
mention stuff you got coming up. You did mention you're going to be in Maryland. You're not going to be too far from PA. Maybe you can get PA knocked out.
I was at well the first
Okay.
time. Yeah, I've got Philly. I like I said, between Wisconsin and
Okay.
Minnesota, now you
Well,
gotta
no,
go way
I
out.
wasn't inviting you to come visit.
Oh, I thought you're gonna have me headline a show in your garage or something.
I could do that.
Actually, one of my friends said, if you want to get those 50 states knocked off, talk to the national parks. Try to do four corners.
Yeah,
Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona in one fell swoop.
there you go. Well, again, please mention anything you want to mention, and then we'll do your comedy minute. Okay, just make sure we cover everything. You're going to continue to do the ye old Mike on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I do it most Wednesdays. My brother's coming from Colorado for a week, so I'm going to be out of comedy for a week, which always feels it's probably good for me just to kind of be doing nothing
Yeah,
because I'm just always writing and doing feedback
yeah.
mics. I'm at a show, Sea Dog, for the YMCA, a fundraiser in Exeter, New Hampshire. But I
Okay.
got about a week off before I come back. Dave
Well, this
Radigan,
this won't air for about 2 weeks. So anything you have out front, go ahead and
yeah. Then November. Yeah. So then November will be kind of my trip south.
okay.
Uh, but yeah,
Well, what I'll do is I looked. You do have an Instagram, but it was only one post. But I'll put your Facebook, and if you have a YouTube channel or anything you want me to put, any links, I'll put them.
thank
And
you. Yeah, when I do festivals and when I didn't. Oh, can I tell you one other thing? I don't know if we have time.
sure. I don't know how much time we have. Let me see. We have about 4 minutes. How long is your comedy minute going to take?
A minute, two
Okay.
minutes.
All
Yeah.
right. Go ahead.
So May 8th, I'm on a show in Helsinki, Finland. Uh,
Wow.
my family and I were there, and I reached out and this comedian I've been doing some Zooms with. He's a pretty good comedian, and he's got me on a
Okay.
show there. Then the 9th, I'm putting on. Getting the final stages. There's two from Estonia and one from Finland. We're gonna do a four-person show in Tallinn, Estonia,
All
and
right.
then if I can get that, then I want to figure out. I don't have any leads yet. I want to go to Riga, Latvia. So I want to go from Finland to Estonia to Latvia back to back to back if I can. And then my favorite place in the world now is the Faroe Islands in the North Atlantic. But anyway,
All
comedy
right.
minute. You want that
Hang
now?
on. Just let me do a formal introduction. And if it's okay, Bill, I'll have you back, down the road, and we can tell me, catch up with everything that's going on.
Well, you're a class act. I
I hope
really
you had
enjoyed
fun.
being here.
Let me do a formal introduction. Bill Douglas, your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, I don't want to brag or boast, but I've kind of finally reached the big time because
Right.
I was selected to host the Clark County Mule Festival in Cahokia, Missouri. Yeah. And I promised on Facebook all my comedian friends I wouldn't forget about those little people in my life, even though I had that now. So I get there and I ask, I was picturing being in a dirt arena across from the grandstand once the festival got done. So I got there an hour and a half early and I asked the guy who was running it where I was going to be. He goes, well, we got a flatbed right here. I'm like, oh, okay. So come back here. Yeah, we'll put the speaker mic up, come back here in an hour and a half. So a friend and I watched the festival from the arena, came back at 9, And I said, okay, so he goes, you ready to go? I go, yeah, but I'm right next to the announcing tent. And I said, when does she done? He goes, what do you mean? Like, when does the festival end? No, it's just going to keep going. So I'm supposed to tell jokes. Well, yeah, you'll just have to pause when she announces, I'm like, so I'm up there doing my jokes, and then, all right, next up, Scott Townsend on deck, Mr. Rue. That was 55-32. And I would keep going to, so I'm trying to, teaching middle school science for 37 years, if nothing else, teaches you how to bomb. You are
Okay.
not in front of an audience who loves you. Nobody's paying attention. I'm thinking this is unbelievable.
What,
About
what,
10
what,
minutes,
what?
about 10 minutes in, I hear, you're making it really hard to pay attention to the real festival. Look down, there's this drunk guy, and I go, that's funny. I was just thinking you guys are making it really hard for me to do comedy. He goes, well, we were here first. I don't think you belong here. I'm like, I think I belong here. And I kept going in between, and he unplugged me. He walked to the end of the flatbed, and I'm like, hit my mic because they told me some of the mics cut out and I can switch mics. So I see there's another mic for me. There's this like 20-year-old at the end of the flatbed goes, I think he just unplugged you. So the guy who ran it walked back over, and I said, Mike, I don't think there's any point in continuing. He goes, no, I guess I just planned too many things at once. Like, how could you possibly think that's going to work? The
Well,
whole way I'm doing
my
jokes.
friend, that was dynamite.
Oh
We're
my
going to run
God.
out of time. Thank you so much for being here. Let me stop the recording and we'll get back together real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure. Let me stop the recording.